Welcome to the Galway Races new 6-episode podcast series, Let's Be Having You Galway, relaying stories from inside and outside the parade ring. Paul Collins here. It's been my honour to chat to racing royalty and lifelong fans alike. On the latest episode of Let's Be Having You Galway, we sit down with two of Ireland's top trainers. Noel Meade on his training philosophy with a few holiday stories thrown in.
Out the door, and there was a fella selling suitcases out the door, so he bought a suitcase, came in, loaded everything into the suitcase. And we had a full of a suitcase going out of that shop.
And Gordon Elliott shares his perspective on his training journey to date and delivers his top tip for the 2023 Galway races.
Make sure you have a good pair of shoes, a few clean pairs of socks and boxer shorts, and the rest is yeehaw, you know.
We're here with two lads who need no introduction, so we're not going to give them one here today. Gordon Elliott, how are you?
Good, yeah. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much. And you have a beautiful trophy room here, and it's a bit like the trophy room in Cork Park or one of these places. You've won everything here, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got a few nice trophies here. Obviously, we're still looking to get a few more, but it's nice. It's nice to have them all gathered up and be able to see them together. So it's there's been a lot of hard work to get them. So
you might as well show them off.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the good room we all have in our house at home. You know, you have your communion photos and your confirmation photos and you have your Grand National winning photos all in the one mantelpiece kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's nice to have it, but as maybe a good line of Noel Meade. He says there's a lot of blood, sweat and tears to get all them trophies there, so there is.
Where in the world are we, Gordon?
Just outside the village called Longwood in County Meath, between sort of Enfield and Summerhill. It's a good location, close to main roads and handy to get anywhere. Handy
to hit all the big racetracks around Ireland.
Yeah, exactly.
You know this fella beside us?
I know him since probably I'm 15 or 16 years of age. I knew who he was. Probably got to become very close friends and probably in my early 30s. And
that long ago?
Well, I'd say so, yeah. And probably in the last 10 years we've become very good friends. So he's a few more miles on the clock than me, so he'd tell you a better story than I would.
Noel Meade, Fáilte Isteach. How are you?
Very good, yeah, very good.
You visiting here now, is it this a bit like Jim McGuinness going down to Kerry and hanging out of a tree to see how the Kerry boys are training, or is it all very friendly, or what way is it for you now, visiting a yard like this?
No, over the last number of years, Gordon and myself have got very close friends, and we would communicate quite a lot, like a couple of times a week at least, and go to football matches together and do all sorts of things together. So we've become very close that way. So coming over here or he coming over to me wouldn't be any hassle really.
It's a super setup here, Gordon. I mean, there's a lot of blood, sweat and tears gone into it. I mean, it's a big undertaking to go into any business. Was it a big undertaking for you to get involved in the racing business? I mean, any business has a danger of failing, and I suppose racing is no different.
Yeah, I suppose just like we were talking earlier on, probably a lot of luck at the start. Just got a couple of nice horses. Lucky to probably have a few good people around me, and owners wise and that. And just the whole thing clicked. I bought this place, I think it's about 11 and a half years ago now. I rolled the dice, I probably hadn't even the price of the deposit when we went. I can remember it to the day still well. Actually went to the auction with a Galway man, a man from Athenry called Tom Howley, a very good friend of mine. And we went in and we bought the place anyway, and then we had to worry about we had the price of the deposit, but after that, then it took us months now to get across the line, but we got it done, and the rest is history. I put everything into it since I started training, and I just love being here. Yeah, it's great.
We all have hopes, dreams, and aspirations in any job or in any business. So far so good.
Yeah, look at as I said, I've had a great career so far. a few little ups and downs along the way, but yeah, I couldn't be happier the way things are going. We've got a lovely bunch of horses, great owners, and brilliant staff.
So, supposing I'm a Yank now with an absolute wheelbarrow full of cash, and I ring you and I say, hey, come here, I want to train a horse, or would you train a horse for me? What have you got here? I mean, you have gallops, you have stables. What's the facility here?
Look, we've a couple of hundred stables here. We've 4 or 5 different gallops. We've got obviously swimming pools. We've got horse walkers. We've got therapy plates. Anything basically the horse needs, he gets. As most trainers have these days now. It's so easy to get your hands on stuff now. If you go to Noel Meade's or Gordon Elliott's or Willie Mullins's, most trainers have all the facilities for the horses because everyone wants the best for the horses. And it's gone so competitive now. The day of training a horse around the stubble field is gone. You have to have your sand gallops, your wood chip gallops, your schooling grounds on sand as well as on grass. Obviously Noel's a lot longer in the game than me, and he'd probably be able to tell you more. But in this day and age, you have to have all the facilities.
How big is your horse swimming pool compared to Gordon's? No,
I don't have a pool. He's passed us out on that one. Maybe there's a couple of things we don't cross over on. I don't know if Gordon has a spa, but we have a double spa, which we use a lot.
What's a horse spa now when it's at home?
Well, basically it's some water where they go into freezing temperatures and it's blown at their legs. We use that quite a lot.
Wow. And that's helps with recovery and various injuries?
Yeah, we have a lot of horses go into that every day. Like before they go out in the afternoons when they come back in, keeps them same as people really. It just keeps their tendons tight and keeps them sound.
Nimble.
Yeah, keeps them sound.
When Gordon took out his licence in 2006, if someone rang you to say, listen, Noel, I'm thinking of going into the racing game and I'm thinking of doing a bit of training, is it something you'd advise? I mean, you really want to have your wits about you, wouldn't you?
You would, but I think, it's very hard to know. I think, I don't know if he ever thought he'd be as big as he is now when he started off in the beginning. Gordon started from, as I did myself, started from the ground with one horse and brought it up from there. So he's been very, very successful from where he's standing start. And but I don't think in the beginning that you ever think that you're going to be, you never imagine that you're going to be as big as you get, as certainly as he got. I don't, or even myself, that we imagine that we're going to. You always hope that things will go like that for you, but it doesn't always go like that. And you'll have good times and bad times, and it can be a bit of an up and down business,
Like anything, Gordon, I suppose you need to love it.
Yeah, definitely. And I love training horses. I'm sure most people do. The places you get to go. You get to travel the world. You get to meet good people. And going racing every day it's good crack. You meet the lads. Out aside from the horses running and winning or losing, and having the chat and sitting down and have a cup of tea, or if you have a good day, you might have a drink after.
Been out in the sunshine even.
Yeah,
you were never a man for 40 hours a week behind the desk doing spreadsheets or anything?
No, still not great behind the desk, but I've got a good team in the office to look after all that for me. But I don't know, going racing, you meet good people. It's there's great banter. Obviously, we're here talking about Galway today. The crack down there is great. It's probably, for me, it's a bit more of a relaxed week, and there's no big pressure. If you have a winner, it's brilliant. If you have 2, it's great, and if you have 3, you've had a great week. But yeah, it's more of a kind of a relaxed sort of a fun week, and if you can pull a winner out, it's great.
What's the plan for 2023 in Galway? The assault from the Gordon Elliott stable, what's it looking like at the moment down in the yard, Gordon?
Look, I probably have a stronger hand in the plate and hurdle this year than I've had for the last couple of years. Obviously, plans aren't finalised completely yet. I hope that 4 or 5 runners in each of the races probably come home one night, and maybe stay down then for a couple of nights after.
Lower the handbrake.
Yeah, there'd have to be a few good nights. Go for a bit of dinner with Noel and a few drinks. Noel obviously stays in the park, and I've started staying there for the last couple of years. So it's whether that's a good or bad thing, I'm not sure, but it kind of works well, you know.
You must have your Galway routine well and truly worked out at this stage, Nolik.
Yeah, we've been going there for a while now. It was a great hunting ground for us for a long time. We've had great success in it over the years. I think we've won all the big races now, and most of them a couple of times. The plate was the last one to get my hands on, and that was we got that a couple of years ago. I remember going back one year, we won the big race on the Monday and the Tuesday, and we missed the plate on the Wednesday, but we had a couple of winners that day, and we won the hurdle on the Thursday and won the race on the Friday. I think we were drunk for the week.
Well, sure, look, you have to celebrate these things. They don't come around that regularly that you'd have a week like that.
Well, it's a very funny story about that week. When we were coming out on the Monday night after winning what was the mile handicap that year, the McDonagh handicap, Lily, who most people who went racing over the years probably know Lily, she used to sell, she's dead now, God rest her, she used to sell that turf farm and the Toblerones and the apples and the oranges and whatever, but she was coming out, and as I was coming out, she says, "Yeah, you had a good day, Noel. You'll buy off me." And I said, "I'll tell you what, Lily," I says, "I'll see you on Friday." And she said, "Okay, right." So then, of course, we won the big one again on the Tuesday. We won the amateur race, and on the Wednesday, a good day, and on the Friday. So it was more or less the same crowd of owners for the whole week. And so the party started on the Monday, and it was rolling on the whole week. So after we won the big race on the Friday, I think that was the last day that year, I went into the champagne bar, and there was a big fella in the champagne bar called Paddy. And I said, "Paddy, give me a half dozen bottles of champagne." All the boys are outside. And I was just getting the thing stoked up for another celebration. And when I went to put my hands in my pockets, I had no wallet, I had no money. And I said, "Just Paddy, I have no money." And he says, "You're all right, so we'll get you again, you see." So at that, I was trying to walk out the door, and Lily comes in the door. And Lily says, "No," she says. And I said, "Lily," and I said, "I have no money." And she says, "But you promised. And I said, "But I forgot my wallet." And anyway, it was so warm outside that there was no one actually in the bar. And Paddy was listening to the conversation. He says, "He's telling you the truth, Lily." He says, he has no money. And so "Are you stuck?" she says. And I says, "Yeah." So she went off anyway, and she came back, and she gave me 100 quid in singles. She says, "Here, just to sort out." Mind you now, the interest on that 100 quid cost me a fortune in the long run.
Wasn't that a lovely gesture?
Unbelievable.
Wow. And did you give her a bottle of champagne just to...
Oh, I did. Paddy was shouting, said, "Oh, that 100 will do me." So he got the money.
So it didn't end up in your pocket, as the fella says?
No.
Wow.
It was going to get spent anyway, one way or the other. Oh, it was paid back with good interest, I can tell you.
You must have great memories of Galway, Gordon.
Riding as an amateur, always great days, and it was always good atmosphere down there. But probably I've only really started staying down there for the last number of years. But look, it's always good fun. Obviously you'd go for a dinner, obviously down to Kerman's Lane or wherever you go. A few good drinks there, and good fun.
It must be hard, Gordon, to manage the expectations of everyone. Like you've gone out the punters, you have the owners. You could have a good day or a bad day. You could have someone interfering with your horse in the last or whatever. I mean, you must be very patient.
Listen, it's a great game when you're winning. But as anyone knows, in any sport, like it's not always going to be good, and you're going to have good and bad days. And obviously, we're both living in County Meath, and at the moment we're picking our feet up and getting going again. But nothing is going to be good the whole time. You are going to have good and bad days, but it's to be able to pick yourself up and shake yourself off and manage yourself properly when you get better and keep going forward and worry about the next day, because as much as there's good days, there's going to be bad days, and there'll always be better days as well. As trainers, well, we want to win probably as much and more than the owners. Obviously we have to work very hard for it. We've got a bunch of staff and they want to win as much as everything, but it doesn't always happen. But when it does, it's good, and you have to enjoy it.
I was talking to one of the boys, one of the stewards, and he was telling me that from a governance point of view now, there's microchips on the horses and they know when they're going into the stalls that they're the right horse. But like out in the yard, how do you know one horse from the other?
It's like your own job, you know. No matter what your job is, you get to know them. You know, obviously, I suppose when they come back into the start of the season, for me, is the one time you might have a couple of weeks or a month that you could have 50 bays coming at you looking at the same, but you get to know them. You know, especially when they start running.
I shouldn't like your children. You know, you ask a farmer, he might have 300 Frisian cows, and he know every one of them. You know, and it's the same thing. You very rarely get it wrong after.
You're looking at them coming at you every day, and it's like a good-looking woman when she comes walking down the street. You know what way the better ones always seem to have a
good swagger about
a
them.
good swagger to them for some reason.
The horses now we're talking about.
The horses, yeah. I'm not really sure why, but you kind of always you know a good one when he's coming at you anyway. But no, you would. Of course, you get to know them. As Noel said, it's like a farmer with his cows. He knows them all. But that's the way it is, yeah.
Highlight so far in your racing career, Gordon? I mean, you could pick out any one of these trophies. I'm looking at 2 Grand Nationals. I'm looking at Cheltenham Gold Cup. I mean,
3 Grand Nationals.
3 Grand Nationals. Apologies. Silver Birch.
I suppose winning the Gold Cup was unbelievable. You know, that was a day I'll never forget. But Tiger Roll winning a 2nd Grand National back after back was brilliant. I've had some great days. To be honest, I enjoyed them all, and it's great. It's great when you've got your friends with you, and you got to appreciate it all.
So, say winning at Aintree, for example, right? Is the fact that you've done it 3 times? Is that got a lot to do? I know it's a lot to do with the horse, obviously, but as well as that, the gallops. I mean, the distance of the gallops and the way the gallops are set up. Does that mean that you're going over there confident if your gallops are a particular way, or what's giving you confidence going over? I know it's a bit of a charge of the Light Brigade at times, but like you must have that recipe in your head now as to how you do that.
Look, I think you need the right horse, number one. You know, if you're Vincent O'Brien and you haven't got the right horse, it's not going to happen. You can't carry them. But you know, I think different trainers probably win different types of races. You know.
So what kind of trainer are you then? Are you a kind of a long distance? Are you?
I probably win more staying chases than I do 2-mile chases. I ask myself that question a lot of the times. You try and do things different every year. Like you might make a horse a little bit faster than slower. But listen, I'm happy where I am at the moment, and you know.
And how do you know a good horse?
Look, when you're buying them at the sales, you're obviously looking for, you know, an individual. You're looking at a pedigree. You're talking to people looking for a bit of advice, you know, from the vendor that's selling them, or the person that trained them before you, or the jockey that rode them. But listen, you're just always looking for a good horse. But you know, I'm hoping someday that I can train as many winners as this man beside me here, and
you're fairly close to that.
You know, I have a few years on him, but hopefully he'll be around to see it when I do get as many as him.
I was reading there, Noel, you established your stables in 1971.
Yeah, I think first winner was in 71. I think I started at 70.
Did you have running?
I wasn't born until 78, so that just says.
Did you have running water and everything at that stage? No,
just about. Just about. A bit of a pump in the yard, you know. I know, but no, I started. But you see, as what I was saying earlier, I don't know. I think if at the time you were thinking about being a trainer and such. I was bred, born, and reared a farmer, and there was nobody in the family had anything to do with racing. I was horse mad from the time I was a kid. Ponies. Grown up, hunting, and then pony racing and all that sort of. So, just a pal of mine and myself bought a horse for £100, and it started from there. And I just, as I say, we're lucky.
The horse paid you back.
Horse paid me back, but like just over the years, I was lucky with the way the thing rolled for me, and met certain people that just pointed. I just was lucky with them, and became great friends, and we went through the years like that. But it's got more competitive now, and like back, back even 15 or 20 years ago, a big yard would be 70 or 80 horses, maybe 100 horses. But now,
And what's a big yard now?
all the big yards now, 200 and 250 and 300,
Wow.
and it's colossal numbers now, and also colossal money. Ireland, back years ago in the jumping business, they didn't have the funds to buy the horses. Like the owners weren't here, but in the last 20 years, the owners are here now, and Gordon's owners they're buying the top horses, and that's what's making the difference. They're actually stealing the top horses, and they're stealing them, but they're buying them away from the English. Most years ago, that good horses went to England, but the good horses don't go to England anymore. They come to Ireland, and with Gordon and Willie and Henry and Joseph and everybody, there's quite a lot of people who can buy expensive horses, and like basically, it's like anything. It doesn't necessarily say you're going to win when you buy an expensive horse, but it gives you a better chance. So he who wins in the sale ring is going to end up winning on the track, and that's
the law of racing.
That's the law of racing, basically, in the heel of the hunt, and that it has changed because the guys that were buying these horses over the years have changed. There's a different owner there now than there was. Not be right.
Yeah, look, I'd say, as Noel, I remember something that he said to me when I started training. He exactly what he
Don't
said.
do it.
No, definitely not. No, he didn't say that. He said, like, if you want to compete at the top level, if you win in the sales ring, you will win on the racetrack.
And what happens then is, the way it's a bit like a pyramid. If you train winners, which Gordon is very good at doing, and you train winners, you get more horses. The more horses you get, the more winners you train. The more winners you train, the more horses you get. The better races you win, the better horses you get.
So it's like trying to get experience.
And it goes boom, 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 boom. And it keeps, one builds off the other. And despite the fact that maybe some of your horses mightn't be running that well, but if you're still training winners, you'll get away with it. Because that's it's not the way it sort of works.
Yeah,
you're coming, but you will come home from the races some evenings and you'll be fit to be tied, and everybody knows that they're trained horses on it. And then you go out the following day and things will start to go right again, and away you take off again. But this happens, that they run deplorable, and like you do come home very depressed and down and out, and it does take a bit. It can get to you, but I think what you need to do is you need to keep yourself on a sort of a level that you don't get too high when they win, and you don't get too low when they lose. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, so, for example, your own, wellness, Gordon, or kind of keeping the head right and all that. Like, how do you deal with that?
Look, to be honest, I'm a pretty level sort of person. As Noel just said there, when you're winning, you
have no issues.
Listen, when you're winning, it's great. You got to enjoy it. But when they're losing, you've got to keep your head up. And of course, there's days you're going to be somewhere and you get a few horses bet, and you'll go home. You won't be in great form, and you might want to go for dinner that night or go for a drink. You know what I mean? You just want to go home and be on your own. But sometimes you have to give yourself a shake and say, listen, today hasn't been in your day, but you have to enjoy it with your friends. But no, it is a tough game at times because owners have expectations, and it's not always the owner's the problem. It's his friend sitting beside him at the bar that's in his ear, and then people can say different things. But listen, it's a great game, and there's nothing like it when you're winning. It's like any sport. When you're losing, it's not great, but you just got to keep your head up and keep going.
So, typical day then, boys. What time are you up in the morning? I like a bit of an out sleep in there and get up and have the full Irish, and away you go then. Gordon, what time are you having the breakfast at?
Well, we don't start till 7:30 in the morning here, so I get up around 7:15, so I would 7 o'clock. The horses obviously would be getting fed at 6:30, so you'd be out in the yard.
What are they getting now? Nuts or?
Yeah, they get a scoop of nuts in the morning, so they would. So then you just start work. We'd first log go out about 7:30, 8:15. You'd watch that, get a cup of tea after. You come back in, do a second lot. Then I do declarations, cup of tea, then back out another lot, do your entries, and the day kind of flows pretty quick.
Do
To be
you?
honest, it's this time of year. There's nothing like it because the weather is great, and probably not as much pressure. During the winter, it might be spilling rain, but you're looking at all the nice horses, and you're dreaming that you're going to find another Tiger Roll or whatever it may be.
What about you, Noel? What's your?
We start in the yard at 7. I get up at 6, and I'd like to get into the office for a few minutes before I go to the yard, because I always think I can think better. I can look at something and concentrate on it a lot better at that time in the morning. And we would ride out 3 lots before we stop. We start at 7, and we'd ride out 3, and we're back in. We'd have breakfast then at about 9:30, 9:45, and to get the declarations done, the same thing. But like when you're in full flow, you're busy. Like you are busy, aren't you? You're right. You don't think about what it's a zum. You know, you're running around from Billy to Jack, and but the big advantage nowadays is, and has been since I started, the biggest advantage has been the telephone, has been the mobile phone, because now you're able to contact everybody when you want to, and you can do it on the run. Years ago, when you didn't have mobile phones, you had to come in to the office to make calls, or even in the evening time, if you missed a call, not a call, probably plenty of calls, and you came in and you had to ring somebody. Well, every phone call was going to be 15 minutes at least, because if you rang Joe and Joe wasn't there and Mary answered the phone, and you had to talk to Mary and how was the kids and this, that and the other, and she said, I'll get Joe to ring you back. So that maybe took you 5 or 10 minutes to talk to Mary. Then Joe would ring you back, and you'd have to, and this went on. So like your time wasn't yourself. Nowadays, if you're standing on the gallops and something goes wrong, horse gets injured, and your phone is in your hand, ring Joe and say, Joe, sorry, but this is that horse after pulling up lame this morning, you know. And straight away, that's fantastic, for the simple reason being, you've now informed them, and it's a load off your mind. The worst thing that can ever happen to you is something goes wrong with a horse and you haven't told the owner, and it builds up. And the next thing is, and maybe something was after happening, another one of his horses, so you're too lame at this time, and you're putting it off, I'll ring him in an hour, and you ring him in an hour. And by the time you ring him, that doesn't happen as much now, because you have this machine with you and you're able to do all that quick. Whereas if you had to come in to sit down and do it, as we did years ago, you'd have to come in into the telephone to do it. You put it on. So it's a huge time saver, and it's also a huge help for your mentality as well, because for your mental stability, because everything happens and you're able to keep everything flowing in your mind.
And you're not carrying stuff around.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a good point. So when, boys, do you sit down and work out, right, I've a right joke there, White Horse, he's going into Punchestown or Cheltenham or Tipperary or whatever. When do you kind of know when you're going to run the horse?
Look, when you start training them and you start realising what he is, whether he's going to be if you're training flat horses, you're thinking about the distance or thinking about whatever, and you go into a sort of a set regime with them and bring them along. And then when you think they're sort of getting ready to run, they'll be doing their work, you make your plans from there, like as to where you think you're going to go, as to what distance you're going, or what trip you're going, or what sort of a track you want, or whatever, and try and coordinate that with the owner as well. But basically, I just try to get them fit first, and then work out where we're going to go. And I more or less have that worked out in my head.
What about you, Gordon? When do you kind of make a plan for a horse?
There's not a minute, or an hour in the day that goes by that you're not thinking about where you're going to go with a different horse, or if you're traveling in the car with someone, you're flicking through stuff on your phone, or if you're lying up on the couch and even watching television, you're still having the phone out of your hand. You're looking at the Racing Post or IrishRacing.com or the Irish calendar, going through stuff. It's 24/7. You might have a missed call off an owner, and you'd be thinking of where you're going to go, what you're going to do. But I think most trainers are thinking about 24/7. But as far as the horses come back in, we're probably more national hunting flat. They'll probably come back in. You'll be looking to starting your season off probably November time, and depending on what level the horse is, what meet you're going, whether you're thinking of, Navan or Fairy House or Downroyal or wherever you're thinking of starting them off. But every horse is different, and the one thing about us here, whether it's a 0 to 95 or a grade 1, and as I'm sure it is in most yards in Ireland, the horses have the slower ones take more training than the good ones. They all take as much work.
And come here, you're on the road a lot, so you're driving up and down, over and back around the country. Like, have you?
Yeah.
Do you listen to the radio? Have you CDs?
I listen to anything. To be honest, you're kind of on the phone a lot, especially if you're traveling on your own. You get a lot of work done in the car when you're on your own. If I
hope you have the hands free now, Gordon.
Oh, I have the hands free. Yeah. Good sponsor in Galway, Colin Quinn. He looks after both of us with a nice car. So
he must have lovely Beamers under you, do he?
Oh, he has. He charges plenty for them, but he's they're nice cars. And listen, you do a lot of work in the car. I think I do anyway. You'll be making phone calls, and you might have 5 or 6 lads that you didn't get a chance to ring, and you'd get a bit of work done. You might listen to an odd podcast or something, but
no music in Gordon's car.
There would be music, but I wouldn't know what the names of the songs are.
Yeah.
Like, I know when I hear them if they're a good tune, but I wouldn't know what to be called, to be honest.
Very good. And Noel, what about you? Have you?
Similar. I would.
He's more classical music now. He likes a bit of classical when he's going racing. They kind of relax him a bit,
I listen to Sunshine Radio, and no, again, as Gordon says, it's a great time to catch up on people, talking to people, just filling them in on this, that. So a lot of the time would be spent on the phone in the car. Again, it's another way of just the phone has been. I don't think, to be honest with you, the people could train the amount of horses they train now if they didn't have a mobile phone. It was the biggest single asset that came into the business was being able to communicate, because a lot of it is about communication with owners. Like, when you get a horse, that's your job, is to get him fit and get him ready to run. That's what people want you to do. So, but they do like to know how it's going on and keep in touch with them.
And what about Noel time? So, I mean, it's a full-on gig now. I mean, you've racing, you've meetings, you have horses, you've jockeys' agents ringing you morning, noon, and night, as we can see. You must have a few hot ones in the yard at the moment. So, what does Noel like to do in Noel time?
Well, both of us are very keen Gaelic footballer fans, and
I'm sorry for your troubles.
Yeah, but we're Meade fans out and out, and we go up down. We were in Waterford last week, and we were in Derry a couple of weeks ago, and we were in Donegal, and we've had good fun going, and we've a couple of pals that goes with us, and we enjoy it, and we have that would be our number one anyway. I think would be the football, and we've been to the odd concert here and there, and
classical or
yeah, absolutely. No, there's nothing much classical about me anyway. No, but other than that, I don't know. I don't play golf anymore. I did for a while. I was never any good at it. So
chill.
Yeah.
What about you, Gordon?
Yeah, pretty similar, to be honest. I like going to the football. The county games, or I'd follow my own club, Summerhill. I'd go anytime if I'm not racing. I'd go. It could be a match a couple of nights a week, but no, that's racing is your life when you're at it. And sometimes even going racing is. I went to the Curragh last week at a runner. That was it was kind of a day off, really, to be honest, because it was a relaxing day. I haven't many flying horses, but the football I like. I don't play golf. I can play, but don't play it. It takes too much time, and I'm no good at it either. But a good game of football, or even obviously, in me at the moment we're not where we like to be, and we hopefully we'll get back there one day. But even going up to Crow Park, we've got a couple of seats in Crow Park together, and whether it's the football or the hurling, it's always a great day out. You meet the characters you meet up there is unbelievable. You'll always meet meet some sort of rogue up there that'll have a good story to tell. But it's great out crack, as Noel said. We travel up and down the country as much as we can to the football. There's a couple of lads that travel with us the whole time, kind of the same bunch of lads. We won't mention any names, but there's one lad he kind of tells us a story every week we go, and it's the same story, but it's a bit different every week. But it's most weeks it gets better, doesn't it? All.
It's not one you could tell on the air, presumably.
No. Most of them will be pretty okay, but he's a character.
What's this I hear, Mr. Elliott, about you and Home and Away?
Yeah, I watch it. Yeah, it's kind of a, I don't know. It's a bad habit I have. I've watched it since it started. If I come home from racing at 12 o'clock at night or whatever time it was, I'd sit down for half an hour. It's kind of switch off because you won't be able to sleep for a while. But it's I don't know. It's probably a bit stupid, but I enjoy watching it.
Is Al Stewart still in it?
Al Stewart is still in it, but it wouldn't be Al Stewart to be watching it. It'd be the beach and the nice sea.
Very good. There's good aesthetics and nice things to see in Australia, of course. And what's going on at the moment, by the way? I haven't seen it in a while.
Listen, there's not much happening at the moment. There's not much happening at the moment, to be honest, as per usual.
Gordon, I'll tell you one thing now. Your role as a TV reviewer is after being shot there now, because that's a very bad summary of what's going on at Home and Away.
No, there's not. There's nothing too exciting happening, to be honest.
Noel, your highlight that stands above all else in your racing career?
My racing career. I don't know. I suppose first Cheltenham winner was Sassalita Bay. Maybe first Galway Hurdle winner was Pinch Hitter back a long time ago. I got a great kick out of that, and it still sticks with me. At the time, it was a big thing, and I think winning the Irish National too was a huge thing with the Bunny Boiler.
That was around the 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah, around that.
Yeah, remember that. Gordon, you'll need about half an hour to think about your favourite top standout memory, will you?
Look, I suppose winning any big race is brilliant, but I probably winning the Irish Grand National was good as well. All my family were there, they don't go racing much. That was great. It was a wet day, I never forget it. But I suppose Tiger Roll winning the second Grand National is hard to get away. We've been lucky enough to have winners in Dubai and all over the world, but for me, Tiger Roll to go back the second year, that was probably a day I'll never forget.
It's hard to beat. I mean, it's the world's greatest steeplechase. It's the world's biggest race, really, isn't it? I know the Australians claim it's the Melbourne Cup, but this part of the world.
Yeah, look, it's probably the one race in the world that everyone watches anyway. And if you win the Grand National, you're remembered for it. If you win the Gold Cup, it's great. But you might 5 years later, people wouldn't know about it. But the Grand National is the one race that everyone in the world watches.
200 point-to-point winners, 46 winners on the race course, and 5 winners in the US in your riding career. Wasn't bad going.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I enjoyed riding. I rode as a mediocre amateur.
There was a couple of winners for me.
Yeah, I rode a few winners for Noel, yeah. I think there was no one else to the way room and to ride the horse at the time. But yeah, no, look, I enjoyed riding as an amateur. I met a lot of good contacts, I obviously back in them days, I didn't know. I knew who Noel Meade was, but didn't know him like as a personal level to talk to. But them days, you'd be at awe to the likes of Noel Meade. You'd see him going racing, like he'd be dressed like a pin. He'd have the hat, the good suit on him, the top hat on him. Jesus, someday
he was best turned out in the parade.
Oh, he always was. You think someday, I'd love to be like Noel Meade. But I just never really got into the hats and that sort of stuff. I kind of said I have to be 50 before I wear a hat like that. So I'm not just quite there yet,
So you'll have to find out where Noel's hat maker is. Where are you getting the hats, Noel? Do they sell them in pennies or?
I don't need to make them anymore.
No. We're certainly going a bit with fewer racing with fewer hats lately anyway.
I remember when I started training one day, I used to go racing jeans one day. And Noel was always very good. He could tell you something that you should be or shouldn't be doing. He wouldn't be afraid to say what he thinks, which is always good. And I think that's why we get on so well. But I remember wearing a pair of jeans one day. At the time, we thought they were cool.
Were they dingoes?
There was a little kind of rip on the front of them, so there was. It was kind of the fashion. It wasn't purposely. And Noel says, "Listen, Gordon," he says, as he's told me a couple of times, I don't really think you should be coming to the races dressed like that, But it was great. It was, and I don't wear jeans racing anymore. Just since that, he told me he gave me permission one day not to wear a tie in Liverpool, and I didn't wear them for a long time after. I tried to wear them on a graded day. Now I try to wear a tie, but out from that I don't really. But we've had some great days racing. I suppose one of the people always ask me, how did you get to know Noel, or how did you just become such good friends? I don't really know how we became such good friends, but
in fairness, you were wet around the ears, Elliott, and this fella was giving you a right good advice on the fashion.
Yeah, no, he's given me a couple of good bits of advice on fashion, but that was the day I went racing in a pair of jeans. But I'm going to tell you another story of how I really first big introduction to Noel Meade, and he'll tell you about another fashion story than after. Anyway, as I said when we were young growing up, like Noel Meade, he is still the man, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's the daddy of race. If I have a problem, I'd ring Noel, or some bit of advice, I'd ring him to ask him, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that, or geez, I don't think I should have really done that, or I shouldn't have done that, but
put me straight. Yeah,
or he'd ring you and he'd tell you, but at the time I didn't really know him. I remember him going racing one day in Navan. I knew him, but we knew him just barely. How you going, and I was starting training, and ended up after Navan race having a few drinks one day, and a good few drinks, and I remember coming back in the taxi, and he'd the hat on him, and I said, I want to be like you, give me that hat. I said, taking the hat off, and he took the hat back, and I took it. Anyway, we carried on, we went to a restaurant, few more drinks, a lot more drink, and we were all in good shape anyway, and Noel was taking a bit of bread, and just about, I think, to put into his mouth, and I just took it out of his mouth, out of his hand, and I think I swallowed it. Don't remember much about it, but apparently that's what happened. But I knew that wasn't great. I says, the next morning I woke up and I said, Jesus, the only thing to do now was ring up and apologise. So I picked the phone up. I'd say it was early now. It was 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I says, when we get this out of my system straight away, the way you'd be feeling a bit anxious about what happened the night before. So I picked the phone up, rang him, apologised. He says, I appreciate you ringing. And I'd say that's why we've become such good friends ever after.
I actually walked out that
evening. Yeah. I didn't like to say he walked out. He could take him walked out of the restaurant. But listen, I could tell you a few worse stories he's done now, but we won't mention anything. But in fairness, I think that's we've become good friends since it. I'd say that phone call I made that morning was one of the best phone calls I ever made, because I'd done something stupid. I didn't do too much wrong. It was a bit of banter, but
listen,
Noel didn't see the funny side of it that night.
We've all had the fear.
Yeah.
The following morning, and you're kind of going, oh my God, who did I ring last night? Who did I text last night? What did I do last night? But Noel, you're a man who never experienced that, I'd say, are you?
Oh, I don't know about that. But I'm going to tell another story about, we were on holidays in America and in Florida. And I said to him, I said, it's time you got a decent suit. And he says, I don't really like them suits, He says, I'd rather be this than us. I know you actually can't. Anyway, we went into a shop in this big shopping centre in Brooks Brothers. I said, come into this shop. This is a great shop, I said, in here anyway. So we arrived in anyway, and I said, try on that jacket there. So I said, I don't want it on here. So I tried it on anyway, and I sort of started to like this idea anyway. So he was marching up and down the suit, and I was marching up and down another one. So we bought them two suits, and the man was going on, and he would try that one on, try another one on, and he was throwing them all down the counter. And then he got into the shorts, and he was buying the shorts and threw them all down the counter. before we knew where we were anyway, there was a pile of stuff this high in the shop, you see. So anyway, of course, in true Irish fashion, the next thing is your man was called over and asked how much would he take for the lot, you see. So the bargaining started, and he did deal with us, didn't he? He dealt with us anyway. But at this stage, how many suits did you do at this stage? Yeah, and a lot of shirts and pants and shoes and whatever. So much so anyway, they had to go out and get it. We went out and got it out the door, and there was a fella selling suitcases out the door. So we bought a suitcase, came in, loaded everything into the suitcase. And we had a full of a suitcase going out of that shop.
That's serious shopping, boys.
That was serious shopping.
The only problem after a couple of trips racing, I used to have to ring Noel and say, I'm wearing the navy suit today, so we wouldn't end up in the same suits at the races. But that was a good holiday. You know, another funny story from that holiday. Obviously, both Noel and myself, we'd both probably like to be a couple of pound lighter, you know. But we went on the holiday and we decided we'd go to Disney World, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Disney World, a great trip now anyway. So we got into this, it was this pool with a big wave on it. It was full of kids, so it was. And the two of us had the life jackets on the side. There was kids going around with life jackets. And next thing, the wave had come, and there was just Noel Meade and Gordon Elliott flying down the pool, and kids flying everywhere. So we decided after one or two waves, I said, we better get out of this pool. But no, it was a good holiday, we had good fun, so we did.
Good lads, I'd hate to see you jumping into the pool with me inside, and Johnny, 10-year-old Johnny from Florida could have gone flying, lads.
No, it was good fun. It was a good time.
Mr. Elliott, what is your top tip for surviving Galway for the week? Now, you're travelling up and down and you're not there the full week, so I suppose you have a better perspective on things.
Listen, you'd be there for most of it now, you know, in the last couple of years, but make sure you have a good pair of shoes, a few clean pairs of socks and boxer shorts, and the rest is yeehaw, you know.
That sounds like a good plan to me. What have you to do yet, Noel, in your career?
I just survive.
Get up tomorrow morning, says you.
Yeah. I don't know. I just want to continue and stay healthy and happy.
Amen to that. Mr. Elliott, what is the one thing you want to achieve in the years ahead?
Obviously, it's be hard to do it, but I want to be champion trainer one day. I think if you don't start training and if you don't want to be champion jockey or champion trainer, you know, it's and you haven't got the ambition to do it, I don't think you should be doing it.
Come here, it's been fabulous talking to you, Gordon. Thank you so much for bringing us into your fabulous good room. And Noel, thank you for your time as well today. And look forward to seeing you in Galway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Create your own story this year at Ballybrit. The 2023 Galway races commence on July 31st and run to August 6th. 7 unmissable days. To secure your ticket, go to galwayraces.com. You don't want to miss it. See you there.